Ladies and gentlemen, there's no better way to get up in the morning than to get up with Garret. Garret is a third-generation success-credentialed real estate entrepreneur who's here to give you tips, tricks, and share stories of success. Without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Garret Bedroom.
Dougie Sticks, Dougie Bricks.
Good morning, good morning.
Good to see you, my man.
You too. How's it going?
Beautiful fall day. We love this time of year.
Absolutely.
We're getting close to a lot of big bedroom celebrations, lots of birthdays, anniversaries, doggy birthdays.
Nice.
It's all good. The month of October looks to be crazy, hectic, and filled with lots of blessings.
Nice.
So we'll count those.
Very nice. Very
And
nice.
if you're waking up here in northern New Jersey and New York City area, you definitely are enjoying some great fall weather and the sunshine and a little crisp in the morning. Got to throw on maybe a vest or a jacket when you walk the dog, but by the late in the day, you're grilling at night, it feels great, right?
Yeah. So we got a nice little time, and then it's going to get brutal and cold. Nice couple weeks.
Perfect football weather, right?
Yeah.
Any comments so far? The Giants are 2-1.
Yeah.
And, I wanted to try to always be optimistic and take some positives out of the game against the Cowboys.
Mm-hmm.
Danny Jones probably played one of his best games as a New York Giants football player.
Mm-hmm.
The man was under attack all night, but I think he had over 80 or 90 rushing yards.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he used his legs beautifully. And, you can't blame him for the offensive line totally getting outplayed and collapsing.
Yeah.
I'm not concerned. I think the line is getting better.
Mm-hmm.
They were going up against an incredible D-line. And, when you have rookies in those critical line positions, they're going to take some time to learn. But I think what you're seeing is the Giants really are going to kind of tear this thing down and build it back up. It's not going to happen overnight, but they're going to play with a heart, and they do love their new coach, and they're not going to give up. And, say what you want. I mean, the Cowboys totally can be a playoff team. And in the end, they didn't get blown out. I mean, they were right there.
Yeah.
They could have. There was a last drive there to win the game.
Mm-hmm.
I feel bad for Sterling Shepard, obviously, getting the ACL. You know how challenging it is to come back from a major injury.
Oh, yeah.
You just are dealing with
Still doing it.
Still doing
in the middle of it.
So Shepard had his Achilles a year or two ago, and now he's got the ACL.
Oh, man.
So, which is what Klay Thompson also had both back to back. So it can happen.
Yeah.
In football, it's tough to come back from both.
Mm-hmm.
I know the wide receiver position is one that's kind of a ongoing competition the Giants have stated publicly. I mean, Kenny Galladay, who's getting a ton of money, is barely playing.
Mm-hmm.
So, for Shepard to now miss the whole season with this kind of rebuild is going to be tough for him. But we wish him the best of health and luck.
Lots of talks. People trying to get Odell back.
Really?
Lots of talks. Yeah.
Why isn't he playing? I mean, it makes no sense.
He got injured in the Super Bowl last year, so he's still got to recover. He's probably got another couple weeks, but middle of the season, he's gonna be ready to go, and
absolutely,
he's a free agent.
Wow. So if you could draft Odell in your fantasy team, maybe that's a good early pick. Keep him on the sideline. Well, he's not on a team though, right? So you don't know. I will be going to the Giant game this weekend. So hopefully, and who are we playing? Do you know who the Giants are playing?
The Chicago Bears.
The Bears. Hopefully not the 85 Bears, because that would definitely be a problem for Danny Jones.
Yes.
Anyway, the Chiefs, the Bills, both surprising losses. Really stinks when you do a parlay with those guys.
Mm-hmm.
The Dolphins kind of are ascending quickly. The Eagles are hot as can be.
Mm-hmm.
It's been 3 weeks, so we're really going to get to see, I think, this week 4.
Yeah.
A lot of the kind of games early on were low scoring, especially the first half.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you see that with the lack of preseason games and the lack of starters competing late in camp and in preseason to avoid injuries. So I'm really expecting now to get a good understanding of where the league goes with week 4. But anybody stand out to you that kind of surprised you as potential?
Similar to what you said, it was tough with the offensive line, and he's always under attack. He did do well. I hit every single one of my bets. I had a parlay. Saquon score a touchdown, happened. Danny throwing for over 150 yards, happened. Danny rushing over 20 yards happened. All I needed to do was win. All I needed to do was win. I would have had $150.
I like that parlay. Danny over 20 and then the Giants win.
Yeah.
That's a good parlay.
Yeah.
But any teams that, the Bengals kind of look like they're really going to have a hangover. I don't think it's going to be anywhere there this year.
Yeah, I'm saying panning out for them. The Dolphins are very surprising. I didn't think they were going to be they have Tyreek and Tua, but I didn't think they were going to be,
This good.
that drastically good. We'll see. We'll see how that
What about
pans
the
out.
Bucks? They really, I don't feel like Brady's had this
Yeah, they're missing
incredible.
something.
Well, I mean, Godwin was out, and the other receiver, Mike Evans, was suspended. So I don't think we've seen their best foot forward. But maybe they're going to be calling Gronk back. I mean, could that be possible?
Maybe.
Hopefully they're safe with the weather, with the hurricane that just hit that area.
Yeah.
And hopefully they'll pull off a game this weekend.
They're looking to go to Minneapolis if they don't.
Is that what they're talking about?
They're going to have a
that's
neutral
somewhat of a neutral site.
Yeah.
Who really wants to go there?
Right?
But okay. Sorry to all my friends in the Twin Cities. Anyway, so we had a great weekend last Saturday. We had the annual Hawthorne Day celebration. So for those that have been following on the show, we're building a great project in Hawthorne. But we've also been invested in Hawthorne for, I don't know, 20 years now. I forget. I think 2003 we bought a shopping center. It was called the Rag Shop Discount Center, and they then went out of business, and we renamed it Hawthorne Center. It has Dollar Tree and Family Dollar, so that's interesting. It's actually the same company, and then amongst other tenants, and we've added great value to that property over 20 years. So we love investing in Hawthorne and being part of the community. I don't know if you have any little videos
let's roll it.
that you want to bring up, but we had a great booth there with the Hedges team. We had a lot of great giveaways. We had some of the renderings. We had sunscreen giveaways, lip and balm, mints, and then Planet Fitness also had a prize wheel. So they were giving out towels and stickers and other fun sunglasses I know the kids had. And it was a great event. There were probably, I would say, over 100 different kind of local Hawthorne-based vendors, talking about their organizations or their stores or whatever they were doing. They even had clowns and lots of stuff for the kids, like bouncy houses and all that stuff. There's some of the team members from our group there, which did such a great job. And then there's a picture of the family. This was a really great moment for me personally. I was able to bring not only my parents and my kids, but also my in-laws inside Hedges, inside one of the apartments, which is like the office. And they haven't seen this in a year. So they've never been inside, and they've been with us the whole time during obviously all the failed projects previous to this project. And so for them to kind of walk inside with the lights on and actually see a kitchen and see cabinetry and sheetrock and barn doors, they were just blown away. So that was a special moment for us. And at the end of the night, we sponsored the fireworks. So everybody was real excited about that. And I just want to give a shout out to Adam Koppelman, who's been a guest on our show from Speed Pro Imaging, for making these great banners talking about Hawthorne, fireworks show at Hawthorne Day. So thank you, Adam, for contributing that to the family. We appreciate that. And the project's coming along great. We've got some landscape meetings today. We think we're going to be finishing up by the end of the year. And so we're hoping that we can launch kind of the leasing office and the model unit in early December. And knock on wood, we've been getting through some of those supply chains that we had talked about. Some of those issues with electrical components have kind of opened up a little bit for us. So hopefully people will be moving in January. And, we've really spent very little dollars on marketing here. A lot of organic grassroots things like Hawthorne Day. We did put up some billboards, but we have over 1,600 people that have inquired to get interest on the property. So we're just so blessed and thankful for that initial response of interest. If you're on that waiting list, please be patient. When we do start the leasing kickoff, we will go through one by one in order and reach out to you and invite you in for a tour and to learn more about what we offer at Hedges, which is a luxury apartment complex here in Hawthorne, New Jersey, that is walkable to the train to New York. So if you are thinking about leaving the city, I know actually our guest today is in the city and often talks about getting around without a car and biking and being health and wellness oriented. So if you are thinking about saving money on a car payment, you could live in Hawthorne, walk to the train, and in 45 minutes to an hour, you could be in Manhattan. So it's a good alternative. Probably save a lot of money on rent versus Manhattan. So that was my update with that. What we're going to talk about a little bit more today, and I've mentioned this in the show previously, is the future of investing in real estate. So real estate has traditionally been kind of an old boys club. And, if you wanted to get into a real estate deal, you needed to really know somebody who was putting together a deal. And unfortunately, the way that kind of happened was maybe at a golf club, right? Maybe an expensive members only golf club, or it was at some type of thing in the community, maybe a church or temple or organization or networking that you were in.
Mhm.
But it really wasn't open and widely available to the masses, right? And so there's a number of companies over the past few years that are trying to democratize real estate investing and bring it to everyday people who want to have a chance to buy a smaller share of commercial real estate. Not so different from what we saw in the pandemic with the Robinhoods of the world, where they said, look, instead of buying a $3,000 stock, you're going to buy a $30 stock or a share of it, right?
Mhm.
A slice of the little pizza, let's say. So previously we talked, and I don't know if you can bring up the
Mhm.
internet.
Yep.
We talked about a company called Lofty.ai, which was using artificial intelligence to find rental properties. Now, these were single family homes. These are not large commercial buildings, apartments, or shopping centers like I'm involved in. These are just single family homes. And this company I had discovered where you could buy in with, I think, as little as $50. You could actually buy a small piece of a rental property. And it
Yeah,
talks
50
about,
bucks right here.
yeah. So since we discovered this company probably 4 months ago, they now have a secondary market where you can buy and sell your interest in the little piece of property that you bought.
Mhm.
So that is really mind blowing because that's totally new. I know people buy and sell stocks and bonds all day long,
Mhm.
but for commercial real estate, this is still cutting edge, right? There's very few groups that can pull this off.
Mhm.
So I'm super excited to kind of share that news because that's definitely headed down the development cycle and the platform.
So you bought it. You bought a token. These look
Yep.
like they're tokens. You buy a token at 50 bucks, and 5 months, 6 months down the road, you could sell it for $52.
Possible. There's no guarantees by
Yeah,
any
but like
means.
that's like the idea.
So the thought is that the properties are cash flowing, right? You have a renter in there,
Yeah.
and the rent is higher than the taxes and the mortgage and whatever the
Mhm.
expenses are to operate it. And then you have your free cash flow, and you're getting your proportionate share of that rental. And people like obviously houses because everyone needs a place to live. And that company was very focused on AI, saying that they found areas where maybe they were undervalued and misunderstood, and
Mhm.
the growth of the area. Maybe the house doesn't look so pretty, but really isn't a good area and could do better
Mhm.
on the next tenant. So, but when I got involved with that company and I bought a few shares to kind of test it out of different houses, you couldn't sell it to someone else.
Mhm.
So once I bought it, it was just me owning it until they sold the house. But now I can sell my $50 to you for 60 if that's what you want to pay
Yeah,
for it.
supply and demand.
And you may say, you know what, the rent went up last month by $20. I will pay 60. It's worth more to me now because
Mhm.
it makes more.
Yeah.
So that was one of the first that I discovered. But over the past 2 weeks, I've had a chance to reconnect with someone that I've done business with before.
Mhm.
And he's a friend of the family. And I want to introduce to our audience. And I know I'm going to butcher his last name. I even wrote it out separately. Okay. So I want everyone to say hi to my friend Kareem Demirdash from coming in from New York City from a company called Lex Markets. And let's see if we can bring him in from the green room here. Kareem, are you there?
I am there. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Excellent. I'm so happy to see you. It's been too long since we've been together in person. I know I probably owe you either a Giants game or a lunch. I know you're a Giants fan also. And so I appreciate you coming on the show this morning. And so just as a kind of a background, Kareem has a long background in commercial real estate. He's been a real estate professional for probably 20, 30 years in lots of different arenas and areas of commercial real estate. But we have done business together. Kareem helped raise capital for me in a different business he was in, where we bought a shopping center in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, called Club Haven Shopping Center, which we still own and has done really, really well. And Kareem was part of a team on one institutional client. And he, came down, saw the shopping center, reviewed all the analytics with me, went through all the numbers, and we kind of did all the underwriting together as a team and got comfortable and successfully closed the transaction. And his client is very happy with the project and how it's going. And so I'm appreciative of that. And we've always stayed in touch and kind of talked real estate and talked strategy. And he reached out to me and he said, Garrett, you got to hear what I'm working on now. And it just blew my mind. And I said, oh, wow, this is so exciting. I want to learn more about it. this may be something that I want to be involved in the future with our family. And more importantly, I really want to share what Kareem's up to with our audience, because as we talk to up and coming entrepreneurs and real estate investors that watch our program, I want them always to be learning about cutting edge things that are new and up and coming, and meeting great people that are success credentialed and proven. So Kareem, with that big intro, why don't you tell us a little bit about Lex Markets, 50,000 kind of height view,
Yep.
and then we'll dive into it.
Well, first and foremost, I always enjoy talking all things real estate and all things Giants with you. I am a little concerned about the right tackle, which was getting manipulated on Monday night. But all
Evan
that
Neal,
being
yeah.
said,
Yeah.
excuse me?
Evan
Yep.
Neal, yeah, the rookie,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, make sure everyone knows his name.
Exactly. So I've known Garrett, stayed in touch with Garrett, and I knew when I joined my new company, Lex Markets, that he would be fascinated and interested in something that would be very suitable to what the Bedouin organization was doing. But from 50,000 square feet here at Lex, we're trying to solve two things. One of them is liquidity for owners, and the other one is access. And most importantly, is the democratization of real estate, and also looking at from a lens where people understand. And so, when people get into the tokenization of real estate, for me, it's kind of a black box. And so here at Lex, what we're doing is we're creating access for both accredited and unaccredited investors as well. And we've spent the better part of the past few years building out an infrastructure where we now have a trading system. We built an investment bank. We're a registered broker dealer with FINRA. And now we're taking individual buildings public. And so from an owner's perspective, they get access to passive perpetual equity. And more importantly, for the investors that are out there, and to your earlier comment about the old boys network and access to transactions, there was multiple barriers to entry. Finding the right deals, finding the right sponsors, having the accreditation to invest in a private placement, or having the cash, and sometimes the cost of entry was too high or prohibitive. And so that's what we've been doing here. We've now successfully floated 2 test transactions where we were doing what they call a Reg A under the Jobs Act. And so now we're doing Reg A Tier 2 offerings, and we work with owners and we take stabilized cash flowing assets and we take them public. And so now individual investors can go on our website. They can see our current offerings. They can see the transactions that we have that are trading, and they can buy individual shares. They can buy 1 share, 3 shares, 5 shares. And no different than opening an account at Robinhood or Public. You open the account, you fund the account, it's SPIC insured, and then you can buy and sell these securities that are in direct real estate transactions. And so and a lot of questions that come up is, how does that compare to a REIT, buying a share in a REIT? Here, you're investing directly in a specific real estate transaction, and it's one where you'll get a K1, so you'll get all the tax benefits, which you otherwise wouldn't get as an investor if you invested in a REIT, where you would get a 1099. So with that, we reached out, we talked with Garrett, and we talk and work with organizations like the Bedouins in order to help them to recapitalize certain assets and give individuals access to direct real estate transactions. And when you invest in a REIT, a lot of times it's opaque what you're investing in. You have to dig through all the financial reports to understand. But if you go on our website, you'll see transactions that are trading, where you can see that they're, one asset we have is on Lenox Avenue in Manhattan. And it's a 3-story building with 3 leases. The ground floor tenant is Wells Fargo. And you understand, and all the information's there, you can understand what you're investing in, what the returns are, and what the...
So it's our philosophy has been the democratization of real estate and access for individual investors. And there's always, like you had said, there's a lot of barriers. There could be the prohibitively expensive for the minimum investment. It's finding the deals. Like you said, deals are getting done where they're getting done at the country club. And more importantly, you had to be an accredited investor historically on a private placement.
Okay,
so
so let's
what
talk
we've
about that.
done-
Kareem,
Excuse me?
what's the definition? What's an accredited investor?
An accredited investor is required to essentially have had, I think, a minimum income for the past 2 years of $250,000 or have assets of over $1 million. And
Gotcha.
so they
Okay.
basically have to show a level of liquidity and wealth where they can sustain the loss according to laws. And I don't know who, how they came up with them, but nonetheless, they've come up with these requirements to protect consumers, protect individual investors, and unfortunately has limited access to real estate transactions.
Okay, so basically what you're saying is
wealth, what?
So the government has kind of created, Doug, this protection that
Yep.
says, you're kind of new in investing. I want you to be careful. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, right?
Mhm.
And you should not be investing $50,000 in real estate if you only have a net worth of $100,000. Or if you made $50,000 last year, you shouldn't invest at all because the magic words are it's an illiquid investment. So now this is something that I have to do when I set up my investments,
Mhm.
which is like a private placement, and I have different high net worth individuals. They have to sign something that says they are an accredited investor and they have a net worth of, like Kareem said, over $1 million. And there's a 6 or 7 different little intricacies, and you can do it based on your residence and your marriage, you're not married, whatever. But the concept is exactly on point. You don't want somebody giving you such a large sum of money and that's all they have for the next year. That's their living expenses, right? That would be a huge problem.
I mean, I thought it was a free country, but
Anyway,
if you want to roll the dice, though, you want to.
But look, that's part of in every country there's China has a no COVID rule. You're not allowed to have COVID, and here America says you can't give real estate investors all your money. So
All right.
Okay, so Kareem has identified that. So okay, sorry. So go ahead.
And so what we have done is we've created the first commercial exchange where owners can take individual buildings public, and we will end up with a QSIP DTC eligible, fully tradable security. And we spent the time to build our own trading platform and our own app. And the trading platform is called an alternative trading system, which is one level below like a NASDAQ, right? And
Okay.
the other thing is, so you could go into your Fidelity account, you can call, on E-Trade, and you can make an investment and buy shares in our offerings and participate in direct real estate transactions versus buying into a REIT share.
Okay. So to make this very simple for everyone, when you buy stocks, right, you quickly kind of buy and sell stocks on an exchange. It could be through TD Ameritrade or Fidelity or E-Trade, right? You can't really do that with real estate. Like if you wanted to buy a piece of Club Haven Shopping Center in Winston-Salem, there's this, very big stack of documents to read through. You've got to know me. I've got to approve you. There's a whole bunch of things to go through. And by the way, if you're a new real estate investor, it's probably a big undertaking to go buy the shopping center yourself, right? I mean, would you really feel comfortable with that, Doug? You've never done it before. Now you got to go buy this 100,000 square foot. You'd say, Garrett, what am I doing here, right?
100%.
And I would say, Doug, you're out of your mind. Like, do not try to buy this thing by yourself. You need to work with a professional. You could get really hurt. So typically when you buy into a private real estate deal, like the ones that my family have done, you can't just get out whenever you want. Like if you said, oh, it's my kid's wedding, I need that 50 grand back or the $100,000 back, it's illiquid. I don't have a way to give it back to you unless we're selling it, that time frame. So what Kareem's company has done with Lex is it's created an exchange that I'm assuming, Kareem, this is 24/7. It's always ongoing, right?
100%.
The market never closes. Right. So if you want to sell Apple stock right now because you don't like iPhone 14, you go onto your TD Ameritrade or your Fidelity E-Trade and you sell it right now for, I don't know, $145 a share, $150 a share, whatever. You need the money. But at 5 o'clock at night, you can't sell stocks. Your basic account is not going to, the market's closed. Some people do trading outside the market. But so with what Kareem is doing now, you basically could sell your share of an office building, an apartment complex, a self-storage facility, a shopping center, whatever the building is public, you
Mhm.
could sell it whenever you want as long as there's a market for it. So why would someone like that? A, it's liquid, right? We all need money at different times. I remember that old Western Union commercial, when somebody needs some money sometime.
Mhm.
And it's true, right? People get into different situations. You've got college, God forbid a family member's sick, or you need to renovate your house because a hurricane's coming and you need that money back. You want to be able to get it back quickly. So that's a huge game changer, because commercial real estate by definition is very illiquid, right? It's
Mhm.
slow. You've got title companies, mortgages, investors, banks, tenants. Like, there's a lot of moving pieces. It takes 90 days to close a real estate transaction, not 1 second.
Mhm.
So that is a game changer, that you could now buy and sell quickly and take a illiquid asset and make it liquid. That is a game changer, in my opinion, for future valuations. The second thing is that slice of pizza mentality, right? Most people can't afford the whole shopping center. It's millions of dollars.
Mhm.
But most people don't need that also. They just need to diversify and have a little bit of their net worth in real estate, a little bit in bonds, a little bit in stocks, a little bit in cash, maybe a little bit in crypto
Mhm.
or Bitcoin, et cetera, and a little bit in real estate. So, you don't really need to go out and become a real estate expert and buy the entire shopping center. If you work with a company like Lex, and you look at the different operators that you get to meet, you can kind of piggyback on their expertise and just buy a small share. Kareem, what pricing are these at? I mean, is this a $100 share, a $1,000 share? I mean, help me understand the affordability here.
So the way it works, and investors can go in and in theory buy as little as 1 share. The way we price is that every transaction we do and every share we list starts at $250. And there's some technical reasons on that, but what we're trying to do is that we'll go in, we'll value the real estate, we'll work with the owner, we'll help them go through the SEC process, and then we'll come to terms on a value for the real estate. And then based on that, we'll decide how many shares we're going to float, but all the shares are at $250. And then you can go into your Ameritrade account, or you can go on our platform, you can open an account, you can fund the account, and you can go in and look at all the offerings that we have. We have a whole section on education and understanding real estate investing and the risks involved. And so we try to really help with the education as well as the access, and then provide a myriad of different options. And so right now we've spent the past few years building out the infrastructure and the trading platform. We've successfully brought 2 deals onto our platform. We have a 3rd deal, which we just closed, and we're in the process with several other deals on these Reg A's in order to list them on the platform. So
That's
it's
awesome.
early times. We've built the infrastructure, and now I think we have something like 40,000 people that are registered on our website. We have people that have gone in, funded their accounts, and are buying and trading real estate. And now
So
they can have a very targeted approach. You can invest in an office building on 125th and Lenox Avenue in Harlem, across the street from Whole Foods, and you can understand what you're investing in, who the tenants are, and all the information is on the website.
All right, so let's bring up the website, Dougie.
Yes, sir.
It's lex-markets.com.
.com.
Did I get that right?
Yep, correct.
Yep. Gotcha. So we got this ready here, and this is under the portfolio section. So this is an overview, just like you would see Apple, Tesla, and Microsoft, and it tells you that the dividend is X and it expects to have revenues of X. When you go to Lex here, you're going to get to read about an office building, a parking garage, an apartment complex, and it would tell you, Kareem, tell me if I'm wrong, because it's hard for me to see. It's a little small from where I'm sitting. Does it give you like an overview of, okay, we think it's going to return a 8% cash on cash, or we think it's worth $10 million?
So when you go in, it shows you the valuation, it shows you the current share price, it shows you the 52-week range, just as you would see. So you go to the Tesla, the middle one.
Yep.
Oh, of course.
So this one here is okay.
Tesla. Okay, here we go.
And so just like you would see if you went into Yahoo Finance or
Sure.
you went and pulled it up at your through your brokerage account. It'll show you the asset, the range. And then as you scroll down, it shows you the loan to value, the implied valuation, and then you can go in and you can get information on the asset, the market, the financials, the tenancy. And so if you click on tenancy, for example, on the left, there we go.
Yeah, we're not signed in,
You
so
need
it's
to
not
sign in.
gonna. But that's okay.
So, but what you would see is it would list the 3 tenants, the length of their lease. It'll show you the
okay.
terms of the mortgage. And then there's a calculator where you can go in and investors can change some of the assumptions to understand what the implications would be. And so we've tried to incorporate an educational perspective, which, it's exactly like buying shares in Apple. So to the extent that you're going in, the information's there. You can go on Yahoo Finance, enter everything has a unique ticker. Everything is fully fungible. It's DTC eligible, which is the Depository Trust Corporation, which is important.
Wow, that's a mouthful.
It is a mouthful.
So
it is
free?
very excited. We have a lot of things in the pipeline that we're looking to bring on the platform and working with organizations like yours about bringing these assets to individuals.
So in order to create an account, I'm assuming it's free. Obviously, they load up whatever dollars they want to put into the account, right? There's no monthly membership costs or anything like that to join.
Nope.
Okay,
it's
perfect.
just like opening up an account on E-Trade. You open the account, you can peruse the website. It's free. Create a unique login. You can fund the account. And then just like if you funded it in a brokerage account, it's SPIC insured the funds.
So what does that mean?
So that means any brokerage account that you open, you have insurance up to $250,000 by the government, essentially, that if there's any cash loss, then you're insured. But it doesn't cover, obviously, securities that you buy, and the value goes up or down.
Of course. It's like when you open up a checking account, they have the FDIC in the account. You're protected. If the bank screws up, the government's going to back you up. Got it.
Exactly. And so that's what we've done. And so now we have an app and the platform. And so it's pretty excited what's going on. It's seeing both sides. Owners get very excited about the concept of the democratization of real estate, giving people access, as well as getting that capital, a new form of capital for them and for the investors and like your listeners, being able to go in and look and say, you know what, I'd love to be an investor in an office building in New York City, in Manhattan.
Right. You walk around and you kind of look up and you dream about it. Hey, how do I own one of these one day? And the reality is boy, that is quite I'm not saying you can't do it. You certainly can. You can do anything you want to put your mind to it. But this is a much more reasonable way to dip your toe, right? What do we say? Wet your beak. Learn a little bit before you really jump in and take the responsibilities on yourself.
Another thing to mention, Garrett, one of the things to quickly mention here for your investors and your listeners and investors for Lex is that with this structure and the way we've done it is that you get the benefits of interest and depreciation deductions, which you would otherwise not get if you bought shares in a REIT that was traded. Okay,
gotcha. So let's dive into that just a hair. Doug,
yes.
When you own real estate, right? There are a number, and we've talked on the show, a number of reasons why we love investing in commercial real estate, whether it's the 1031 or just the fact that somebody else wakes up and pays your mortgage for you, which I really like, and leverage and value add. And there's so many different things. But one of the things that people don't talk about enough is just general depreciation, right? So the government thinks that the building is less valuable every year because they believe over, I think it's 39 and a half years, it's going to fall to pieces and be worthless. Now, the reality is there's plenty of buildings that are 139 years and the actual like concrete and cement is not falling apart, but components are, right? The roof needs to be replaced 25 years, maybe the air conditioning 15 to 20. There's a number of things that do. So they basically allow you to put an expense every year on your profit and loss statement called depreciation, which is what's called a non-cash expense. It's not actually happening at that moment. Sometime in the future, you're going to spend the money to replace the roof, but probably not that moment. And it makes it look like to the government that you made less money, and this is all completely legal, which allows you to pay less taxes.
Mhm.
So just in general, it's probable that you could have let's say $100,000 profit on a shopping center, but the government may only view it as a $70,000 profit, right? Which would be great.
Mhm.
And so with depreciation, you get the benefit of that when you're a real estate owner. And so when you invest with me and you have 10% of one of my shopping centers, you also get that benefit passed through.
Mhm.
And what Kareem is saying is through Lex, you get that benefit as well. And that's different than when you buy a REIT. And Kareem, do you want to explain a little bit what a REIT is and how that's different from Lex?
Yep. So a REIT is what they call a real estate investment trust. And it was something that they put together so that individuals could invest in real estate. And so owners would develop and build large portfolios of properties, Class B office buildings, shopping centers, multifamily, and then individuals could go and buy shares in their brokerage account in these large portfolios. But the distinction from what we were doing at Lex is that sometimes it's a little more complicated because the financials are very voluminous, and really understanding what you're investing in beyond, let's say, Class B office buildings, and understanding what they really own, what their expenses are. And it takes a lot more diligence and digging to understand. And to Garrett's first point is that any income you get is taxed as ordinary income.
Okay, so that's a huge difference. Ordinary income versus capital gains income and depreciation, big difference. And when you buy into a REIT, tell me if I'm wrong, Kareem, you're kind of buying into a mixture of different projects and properties. You're not necessarily buying specifically, the shopping center down the street that has Walgreens that you could go visit. It's a group of maybe 100 shopping centers that have Walgreens all over the country. Now, on one hand, that's very good for diversification and not having all your eggs in one basket. But on the other hand, I have found that a lot of high net worth investors really like the idea of real estate being local, and they like the concept that they could go drive to it, fly to it, kick the tires, kind of have lunch at TJ's Deli like we did, and really experience, the property. And that gives them a lot of confidence in investing in it, and that they want to know who's in the property, who are the tenants, what does it look like? Are there a bunch of homeless people outside? Is it safe? And so you kind of lose all that ability when you go to a larger REIT or fund structure. But when you do a private deal one by one, whether it's through Lex or through other companies that will pop up or through my company, et cetera, you really get to kind of pick the deal specifically. And I found people really, really like that better personally.
100%. And to the earlier example that we were looking at with the office building on Lenox Avenue in Manhattan, it's a lot easier to digest for the individual investors. They know what their investing is, they can touch it, they can feel it, and they understand the dynamic of, they can see the leases, and so it provides a lot of clarity and a very pinpoint investment strategy.
Got it. Okay. So I think everyone understands why this solves a problem for the investor, right? Finding real estate is very challenging. Being educated, getting a loan is not easy. Closing a transaction, I mean, Kareem, just working together is not easy. They're very complicated. They're very expensive. Doug, I've told you about transactions that I've worked on, privately that haven't happened.
Mhm.
They don't all happen.
Mhm.
We're lucky that a lot of them we try not. Get involved with too many that are not likely, but it does happen. So from my side, why would a company like mine want to do business with Lex or take one of our shopping centers public? What are the advantages for I guess the operator side or the developer side?
And so for the operators and developers, it's, if you will, another arrow in the quiver and access to a new form of capital, which historically wasn't available. Historically, the developer owner would have to take their entire company public, and that's a very arduous process. And so now they could have an individual building, and our example on the deal that we worked on together is a fantastic example where you have a very good local operator. They've stabilized the tenancy. They've signed the anchor to a long-term
Yeah.
extension, they've created this value, but they don't necessarily want to sell the asset. And so what they can do is through the Lex process, they can come to us and we can help them mark to market the value of the equity and raise equity capital that they can use to reinvest in that transaction, to distribute it to their investors or acquire other assets. And so another example would be they could have maybe there's a limited partner that needs to come out. And so they want to reconstitute it. They did a deal with an institution which has a much shorter time horizon, and they'd like to stay in the deal. They think that there's a lot of value still to be created in cash flow. And so they can come to Lex and we can provide them with the key is passive perpetual equity capital.
Oh boy, Dougie, passive perpetual equity capital.
Sounds like a big deal.
I like passive. I love the word passive
Yeah.
because that means somebody else is getting up and going to work and doing it for me.
Yeah.
Which I think people forget in real estate. The Publix manager gets up at 5 a.m. and bakes the bread, not me.
Yeah.
I just get the rent.
Yeah.
I'm not doing the hard work. I'm not baking the bread.
True.
Trust me. My wife already tells me I don't cook, so there's no way. So I love passive. I understand that. Perpetual, I'm guessing, means this is going to come with a good likelihood of occurring every month or year, right? Meaning there's some type of lease payment where it's every month, and then there's a distribution, I don't know, quarterly or monthly, right? Kareem?
So what I mean by, and let me break it down a little more for you.
Yep.
So as an owner, perpetual capital will be money that doesn't have to be returned by a certain date. It doesn't have to be outstanding for a minimum amount of time. And
Gotcha.
so when we go through this process, the manager and the owner and developer maintains control of the real estate and the decisions. And so if they think that we want to hold on to it, for the next 10 years, it's perpetual, it goes on. And so there's no expiration date of the capital. There's no minimum time it has to be outstanding. And so it gives them a lot of flexibility within their ownership structure.
So no minimum and no maximum.
Hold period, yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, so this is so interesting, Doug. So when I buy a property and I go to you and other friends who want to invest in the property, right? I need to give you an idea of when I'm going to return your money, right? You don't just give it to me and say, Garrett, give it back whenever you want in 100 years. You're basically, I'm going to show you a presentation and it may say something like, we expect in 3 to 5 years or 5 to 7, or there's always a range. I mean, nobody knows the exact date, but there's some type of range, and sometimes it's tied to the loan, et cetera. What Kareem is saying is, here we may raise capital through Lex, and I don't have a gun to my head that I have to sell the building in 3 years and give them back all their money. They're coming in understanding that it could be an ongoing investment for many years, which could be very good for them because that means they're getting their percentage of their cash flow, right, of their ownership. Yep. So they don't necessarily, they're happy to stay in the deal basically as long as it's performing, for sure. So that's a big difference because when you work with big companies that are big institutions, they have a date that they want the money back because they're telling their boards and their shareholders certain dates and they want to recycle that capital. They don't want you to hold it in perpetuity.
And it cuts the other way, Garrett, too. It cuts the other way. Sorry, it cuts the other way too. Is we raise the capital. They're in the transaction, and maybe the outlook was we're going to hold on to it. We think we're going to hold on to it for 5 to 10 years, and then 2 years down the road, you get an unsolicited offer that's unbelievable, and you want to sell. You don't have to. The owner doesn't have to go back to any particular institution to get approval to sell. And you and I have negotiated operating agreements, and these things get very complicated. And so it really provides a lot of flexibility to the owner.
Okay. So for example, the Hilltop house, the apartments that we just sold was a tremendous profit very fast. It was a $9 million profit to the investors in 3 years, which is a lights out deal. And I should preface that by saying, future results are not going to be exactly what every past result has been when you work in these types of projects. And a lot of right things came together at the same time. But I didn't have to go get JP Morgan's approval or Goldman Sachs approval, or whoever the institutional group I work with for the equity, because maybe they would have said, you know what, Garrett, I think apartments are going to have another run in 5 years. Hold it longer. I didn't have to go get their blessing because I'm in control of the property. It's my decision. So what Kareem is saying is that if you do and use Lex as a way to raise capital, you're in that same position where you still retain control of when you're going to sell it or refinance it, which is super important. You don't want somebody dictating when to buy or sell your company when you're the one operating it and in the sticks and on the main line, right, Kareem? That's a challenge.
100%. And you know what? And that's, it's that access to professional management, professional builders, professional operators, people like yourself that have boots on the ground, that understand that, you know what, this is a very good opportunity. It's a good transaction. It's a good result for everybody. And then all the investors through, just like through your investors and through the Lex platform would participate in that profit and in that sale.
Sure, their share. Yeah. So I think it's really cool for recapping also. Doug, recapping is a term we use when you kind of have like one equity source originally going in, and now you've added value, you've done what you needed to do, but you still want to stay in for kind of round two. And so instead of selling and totally being done with a transaction, you basically can bring in new equity. So the original equity gets their money back. They get kind of their percentages and their profit, but you as the manager are still in the deal, going to step two. And now you've got a new group of investors, right? And Lex could be the new group. That's something, Kareem, that we need to really look at together and kind of look at our shopping centers and say, because some of our investors maybe don't want to be in a massive redevelopment or take on the risk of a different strategy. Maybe they just like the existing strategy, but we know that the property can double in value if you go to a different strategy, a different platform. And so perhaps the Lex investors or some other type of investors understand that better. So that's really interesting. I'm glad you.
I think that's a fantastic point. And so that's what we're trying to do is help both sides of the equations, the owners as well as the individuals and investors.
Okay, cool. All right. So if somebody wants to get in touch with Lex, I know we have a Twitter, right, that they can follow.
We do.
Obviously, the website was lex markets.com. We showed that earlier, right? Okay, perfect. And this is the Twitter. I like this. Invest with Lex. I don't know who Lex himself, maybe Lex Luthor, like from Superman.
Yeah, he's a rich dude. I trust him.
Definitely a guy. But remember, you're not giving your money specifically to Lex. They're going to do the underwriting, and they're going to help the operator bring the project public. So you're really investing with someone like me who has experience, success credentialed in a real estate deal. And Lex is kind of that partner to help oversee it, bless everything. And they're a group of real estate professionals that have those credentials because they've all been in the industry a while and understand what to look for, So kind of think of them as your big brother, your mentor, helping you understand the transaction. Is that accurate, Kareem?
100%. And we bring together a technology group. One of the founders had worked at Google. So we have technology, we have marketing, we have the real estate banking group, which I help run. And we do the underwriting work with the owners. And you're 100% right. You're investing with Bedrin in a very specific transaction, and we're facilitating that transaction and helping, the developer owner raise the capital and then giving that access to the individuals and that are looking to deploy capital.
Awesome. So I think this is great. Again, I've been talking about this for months. The future of real estate is taking it, making it more liquid, being able to transform it in some type of digital format, whether it's, Kareem and I can debate whether it's a token or whether it's going public but the point is that real estate should be democratized and available to everyone. It shouldn't just be available to people that are kind of in the know, which historically, I'm just going to put it out there, have been kind of like older white guys at the golf club. And it's true, And so it's important to me as part of my kind of social actions and being involved in the community, like with Salons by JC, we're helping a lot of women and minorities own their own business. I also want to be involved and work with companies that are helping everybody own real estate, right?
Mhm.
Somebody who has $1,000 to invest at the end of the year could buy 4 shares of that office building. It's not a Tesla. That was close. I almost thought it was a. If it was a Tesla, it was a Tesla, which is probably model Lou. So I'm excited about this, Kareem. I commend you guys and pat you on the back for being the first to really figure out how to get it onto this exchange. And of course there'll be speed bumps along the way, but do not give up on this mission. I mean, this is for sure the future. I get both sides of it, and it's something I want to stay in touch with you on, and hopefully test soon with one of our properties and give it a shot at some point. And any last words about maybe the Giants versus the Bears? Any predictions for this weekend?
I'm always cautiously optimistic. My wife says the same thing about me, that I'm always seeing the glass half full. And so I'm expecting big results. And, as the rookies kind of evolve, I think that there's the building blocks. And to your point, the coach, they love the coach. And so I'm excited.
Good. Good. I know we've talked a lot about Danny Dimes over the years.
I
think a lot of people are really unsure about him. But we'll see what happens. And he may end up being a casualty of this whole system being broken down and kind of starting over. And it may not all be his fault, right? Like at the end of the day, if he doesn't get the extension and move on, I don't know that you can pin it all on him. But let's see what he puts together. I have a lot of trust in the guys from Buffalo, and they developed a great team and scheme down there. And Josh Allen is probably going to be the MVP this year. So if Danny Jones can be half of Josh Allen this year, I think we're in the right direction. I'll take. What do you think on the over-under?
Barkley's doing.
Barkley's unbelievable. He's really returned to form. I have dusted off the Barkley jersey, but give me the over-under on 7 wins for the New York Football Giants this year.
I'm going to go over.
Wow. I love it. All right. So that's Kareem. Thanks for spending the morning with us. And if you want to reach out to them on the Twitter, check out Invest with Lex. And if you have any questions, you can always email us as well.
Absolutely.
Right? We have an email address here at the show, which is getupwithgarret@gmail.com. Remember, we always answer your questions live. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, you can email the show or write to us on Instagram, LinkedIn. We try to go live every Thursday with some great content and try to introduce you to some up-and-coming companies and help you make great investment decisions and entrepreneurial decisions. But always remember to invest with your head and not above your head. And hope to see everybody in 2 weeks, Dougie? We'll be back here.
Absolutely. We're always here. So whenever you're ready.
We're always here. All right. Thanks for getting up with us today, everyone. Hope everyone has a great day. And remember, the more you give, the more you get. We're out of here.
Thank you.